Bread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 85 of the WrestleBread Podcast, coming to you live from Mixlr. Again, if you haven't been able to check us out live, we are live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to tune in, and I have chat open and everything, and you can come and talk, and we can chit-chat about a lot of stuff. So there's been a lot of things that has happened this weekend. We had a very crazy week in football. We had Thanksgiving. I hope everyone's holiday was healthy and safe. For me, I'm the cook of the family, and so I didn't make a lot of food this year because it was only me, the hubs, and the kids. So not a lot of food that I had to cook. I normally, because I'm a Cowboys fan, dinner is normally ready by the time the game comes on anyway. And, we weren't really too hype about the game this year since, football is what it is this year. And so I did watch the game this past Thanksgiving, and it wasn't really as exciting as I thought it would be. So, of course. And then we also had football on Monday as well. We also had, which I did check out while I was watching Monday Night Raw. So the Eagles did lose. And once again, the NFC East is trash. I believe I don't even know who's in first place. I think it's actually Washington who's in first place with 4 wins. And more likely 6 wins is what's going to get into the playoffs. And I really feel bad for all the other teams in all the other divisions who are trying to work so hard to get into the playoffs, but yet there is a 6-10 or possibly 5-11 team that's going to make it into the playoffs and not them. And it's a more crazy football with COVID and everything. We have a football game happening on Tuesday. We got football games happening on Wednesday. And so it's just been a crazy week. I'm very happy that I'm not playing fantasy football this year because I probably would have drove myself crazy. I'm either in like one of the fantasy leagues in NFL, or I'm playing like DraftKings or FanDuel. I used to do my own fantasy leagues, but I really hate it when people play fantasy football and they quit midway through the season because their team isn't doing well. Or they do what is the pain in the ass thing and they give up all their players for other people to pick up. But another crazy thing that happened this weekend too was the Tyson Fight. I don't know if you guys were able to check that out. I watched it. I did not pay for it. I did watch it for free, thanks to the wonders of the internet. And it was an interesting fight. Tyson looked very good, especially for the fact that he hadn't fought in 15 years. Roy Jones looked good too. You can tell that he kind of gained weight. He wasn't like gassed during the fight, but like even before the fight, he was walking like an old man, I noticed. But it was a really good fight. I thought that Tyson would win. Of course, it ended in a draw, and when I heard that it ended in a draw, my mind like instantly went to WWE. Like, of course, it ended into a draw. They want both guys to look good and stuff like that. But I think Tyson won. Because Tyson's the one who landed the most punches to the body. And then Roy Jones mentioned that he was like he felt hurt everywhere that Mike Tyson had punched him at, which I thought was interesting. But the winner of the night, of course, was Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was hilarious. I mean, we had Mauro Ronaldo there, formerly the NXT commentator, and at times it was a bit too much because he's trying to get in his words and his puns and everything like that, and it felt like he was like over talking people. I mean, um you had other people there to commentate, but um he kept talking over. And so Snoop Dogg, of course, being hilarious during the fight, saying that it felt like it was it was what do you say? It was like two uncles fighting in the backyard. And that it was like two uncles fighting in the backyard, and that it was like, oh, come on, let's go ahead into the back and start fighting and things like that. But he was hilarious. Let's talk about, of course, the fight between Jake Paul and Nate Robinson. Now, I didn't know about the build to this fight. I know who Jake Paul is. I know who Nate Robinson is. So when I heard that they were fighting each other, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I know Jake Paul from what I've heard. I knew Jake Paul was taking boxing seriously. I just didn't know how serious he was taking the boxing, like his training and everything. But let me tell you, one of the biggest things that one of the biggest mistakes you can make is talking mad shit before you got into a fight. And Nate Robinson saying that he was going to do it for the culture and he was going to do this for, his kids and things like that. And like he was really talking such a good game. It was I was like, okay. When I heard what the things that he was saying, I was like, all right, well, it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a knockout. I tell you, the moment this man walked like 5 seconds into Nate Robinson fighting, I knew he was going to get knocked out. Like, I'm not a boxer, but even I know you have to put your hands up to defend your face. Because, if you put your hands out away from your face, somebody's going to get knocked out. And, I haven't trained a day in boxing. I can only tell you, I know to play defense. Like, I feel like everybody and their mama I feel like everybody and their mama can, put up a fight against Nate Robinson after all that we saw. I mean, my man sat there and like I don't know what the hell he was thinking. And whoever trained him should definitely be fired because the number one rule in boxing is to put your hands up and defend your face. Like that's what they teach you, the bob and weave. Like you gotta play defense, sir. And I'm confused because he's a basketball player. And I could understand if he was like a football player and, he only played on offense. Like they mentioned that he played football in high school or something like that. Um, but I know you in basketball, you played offense and defense. So I don't know why, even if the trainer didn't train him correctly, I don't know why when you went into a boxing match and within the first couple of seconds, I'll even go as far as the first knockdown punch that didn't click in his head. Maybe I should put my hands up. Like I don't like has he ever gotten into a fight before or something? Like you always put your hands up to defend your face because everybody's gonna go for the chin. And then the second time he got knocked down, he got knocked down and he was looking like he was just laying there and just thinking about life. And so then after that, then he got knocked out. And oh my gosh. I mean, the gif, the memes, everything showing of him getting knocked out, it's going to be all over the world, of course. I think he should just go into hiding, probably for maybe 6 months, until something else happened that the world will start talking about, and then he will be left alone. But as far as with this, sir, just go into hiding for right now. That's all I gotta say. I feel bad for him, but it is what it is. I mean, if you're gonna enter in a boxing match, expect to get, expect there's a possibility to get knocked the hell out. But Snoop Dogg was hilarious on there. I mean, he started singing he started singing songs the second time he got knocked down, and when he got knocked down, all he heard was "Oh Lord," and oh man, I feel bad for Nate Robinson, but you shouldn't talk all that mess, yo. I mean, you got knocked out in front of Snoop Dogg. You got knocked out in front of Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, it it was brutal. It was brutal. But afterwards, Jake Paul got interviewed, and he started talking about how much like he's in this to like he actually wants to fight. He actually wants to have a career. He called out Conor McGregor again, which okay. Let's not jump up to level 75 when you're only wearing level 5 armor. He called out his brother. He called out other people too. And I think he's 2-0 now. So once he was talking about all the things that he was doing, like he wanted to like how his passion for boxing and things like that, I was like, okay, you're definitely serious about this. You're not in this just to say, oh, I'm a celebrity and look at me type of situation. Even though that is what he kind of did. He came out with I think it was Space Jam music. I think it was music from the Space Jam soundtrack. I forgot what it was, but it was that fight was pretty crazy. But the Tyson and Roy Jones fight was pretty good too. And Tyson was mentioning how he's trying to start a league of seasoned boxers who may be, you know, either retired or haven't been in the ring for a while, just to give them a chance to get back in the ring and box, which I'm down for. Tyson looked great. Tyson could definitely still get into the ring with younger boxers. I felt as though he was trying to knock out Roy Jones, but even though I heard from somewhere that Tyson allegedly said that he told Roy Jones he won't go for his face, I saw Tyson go for his face a couple of times. But it was still a good fight, though. So I hope everyone had a pretty good weekend. We had some interesting things happen in wrestling. So starting out with some news, there is the rumor out there, per Fightful Select, that the script from Raw from yesterday was completed 25 minutes before the show went on air. And of course, we keep hearing things about this, that, for example, I believe SmackDown maybe 2 weeks ago was completed 2 hours before the show, which is to do, like, it's not like this is a high school play. To complete a whole show script within 25 minutes, you're not giving people time to prepare, especially if they're writing scripts for people. You're not preparing the wrestlers or the on-air talent to prepare for, whatever type of situation they be put into. And it kind of explains a lot of, like, whenever, the show kind of feels this, not cohesive, like not flowing smoothly and things like that. That's because you're throwing whole promos and storylines and everything to people, and giving, like, that's not something you do. And we all know it's because of one guy. You know, you don't write a 3 hour show and finish it within 25 minutes. I don't think I ever heard a situation where a live show, the writing for a live show gets completed within 25 minutes before the show airs. And if you heard something like that, you can let me know. If you're listening live, you can let me know in the chat. Or you can tweet it to say, hey, it happened with this show. But I don't think I ever heard of a live show being completed in written form 25 minutes before it airs. I think that's crazy. Also, Keith Lee is getting a documentary. I know that Liv Morgan just got a documentary as well. It was about her growing up. I didn't get a chance to check it out just yet, but it was about her growing up and, wanting to be a wrestler ever since she was young. This documentary for Keith Lee, it's going to be the WE 24. And I think this is where they follow him for 24 hours. And I think, let me see, I don't know when they filmed it, but it's coming out December 6th. And it's going to talk about Keith Lee being told no all over and over again. And he also recently did an interview. I forgot who he did the interview with, but he had mentioned how the reason for his gear on the main roster, why he's putting on a shirt, wasn't his decision, and he was told to do that, which we all know the reason why. But I don't really get it. Like, I kind of get it, but I don't get it. Because Otis doesn't wear a shirt, but then again, he's more comedy based, whereas though we all want Keith Lee to be taken a lot more serious as well. And the news that was announced during Raw as well, Austin Creed will be the host for G4. I don't know if he's going to get his own show. I tried to look more into it as to if it's a show that he's getting or if he just will be, like hosting, like talking during the day or something like that, or taped segments. It doesn't really say, but this is something that Austin Creed, aka Xavier Woods, have been wanting for a very long time. We all know his passion with video games, with his YouTube channel, Up, Up, Down, Down. And the way that has taken off, he's in Gears 5 now, which is crazy to me still. But he's been wanting to be a host on G4. He wants, I think it's Nick Arcade, a reboot of Nick Arcade for him to be host of for the longest of time as well. So definitely congratulations to Xavier Woods. He definitely deserves it. In other news too, there has been the announcement for AAA's Triplemania XXVIII. And so I like AAA, Lucha Libre AAA, which takes place in Mexico City. I am just behind on their shows. Like, I just started watching AAA 27. So that's how behind I am. Even though that happened, last year? But the date for it has been announced. It was supposed to take place in August, but due to the pandemic, they moved it to December 12th at 8 p.m. And it's going to be shown through Facebook and YouTube, so you don't have to pay money for it. But the card for this pay-per-view definitely looks good. So we have, and I may butcher these names, so I apologize in advance. But we got Pagano versus Chessmen. This is going to be a hair versus hair match. We have Kenny Omega versus Laredo Kid for the AAA Mega Championship match. That's going to be a good-ass match, I'll tell you that. Another thing I saw, the Lucha Brothers versus Agentes del Air versus versus Texano and Rey Escorpion. And this is a 3-way tag team match for the AAA World Tag Team Championship, which that's going to be a good match. And then we have a trios match. This is Los Psycho Circus, which is Psycho Clown, Monster Clown, and Murder Clown, who I've seen them before and I saw them during the Triplemania XXVII. And it says versus Blue Demon Jr. and La Familia Real, which is LA Park and El Hijo de LA Park. So it looks like a good match. And there's other matches listed as well. But I think this is going to be a really good card. If you like Lucha Libre wrestling, if you like the high flying, definitely check out Triplemania. It's going to be December 12th at 8 p.m. So I'll definitely check it out. I'll do a recap. I don't know too much about all the wrestlers to do an actual predictions, but I'll definitely do a recap for it. More news. I noticed that, so I thought that AEW Games was only going to talk about their upcoming system, their upcoming video game, their mobile games, things like that. But I noticed that the AEW Games Twitter account is promoting their wrestlers' Twitch accounts. So it promotes when the wrestler is about to go live, like the wrestler will be live on this day, things like that, which I thought is really cool. Of course, we all know that the WWE wrestlers have been banned from streaming on Twitch, but it doesn't seem like it affects the NXT wrestlers, of course. Like I said, Adam Cole still streams. I think Paige still streams. Who else? There's some other NXT wrestlers who still stream as well. Tyler Breeze still stream. Let me see. Baron Corbin doesn't. Like I said, Tyler Breeze shares a stream with Baron Corbin and Shawn Spears from AEW, which I always thought was interesting. But Baron Corbin doesn't stream on there, but Tyler Breeze and Shawn Spears stream on there. But something I noticed, because I watch Adam Cole on Twitch, and if you ever watched him on Twitch, you just know how cool his community is, the Chugs Army. But I noticed that there is, and I hope it doesn't get caught, but I noticed that NXT superstars or WWE superstars and AEW wrestlers kind of interact with each other. So I had watched this stream today, and he got rated, which means that a streamer and their followers go and watch another stream. He got rated by Cocabana, and he's been rated by Evil Uno. He has rated Evil Uno as well, and Jessica Havoc too. So I always thought that was kind of interesting. And if you were to check out Xavier Woods' stream, which he doesn't stream anymore, if you go to his stream, he is hosting Evil Uno as well, I believe. But I thought that was pretty interesting that they kind of interact with some of the WWE wrestlers, which I think is cool. I mean, yeah, it's competition, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's all wrestling, which I don't, it's all wrestling. There's also a rumor. I don't know where I heard this at, where I got this from, so if it's incorrect, don't kill me. That AEW was looking to do some type of partnering with WWE, and I really hope that it's false, because we all know what will happen if they try to do business with Vince McMahon. He's going to try to take it over, and then all that's left is nothing. And there is that rumor that NXT is trying to come out with a second show. We already know that AEW is trying to do a second show, and all I gotta say is, oh my gosh, it's gonna be too much. I love wrestling, I really do, and family can tell you I will watch wrestling. I will put wrestling on, in the background when I'm doing dishes and things like that. But having to keep up with so many shows is just going to be too much. Like, we already, for people who like AEW and WWE, it's already a hassle of watching AEW Dynamite and NXT. Some people try to watch at the same time. Some people watch one show and then they watch the second show. But if both of those brands put out another show, I mean, we're going to have Raw, SmackDown, NXT Live, second NXT, AEW Dynamite, second AEW, and then whatever pay-per-view comes on. And then for the people who watch Impact, for people who watch New Japan, Ring of Honor, it's just going to be too much. It's going to be pretty much a damn job. I'm going to be devoting 40 hours a week watching nothing but wrestling. So let me get into the recaps. Getting into AEW Dynamite recap, we had Will Hobbs, who I don't know if his name is now Powerhouse Hobbs or if he is still going by Will Hobbs. He is now part of Team Taz. We also had Top Flight versus Hybrid 2, which was pretty good. Top Flight, I didn't know how young they are. It is crazy. They're only 19 and 20 years old. And to have your debut match in AEW versus the Young Bucks and to be able to kind of like still put on a good show between them with them, it's just crazy. And I hope AEW snatched them up first off, and I hope AEW groom them and put them in the right direction, because that's the future right there. We had Hangman Page versus John Silver. John Silver he's hilarious in the Being the Elite series. I know some people have an issue with Being the Elite series, but it kind of translate over to AEW Dynamite because you see him on there and he becomes likable. And so now he is the quote unquote heel who's a likable person. This was a pretty good episode. I mean, this was a pretty good match, I have to say. So I like the fact that the Dark Order isn't nothing but fun and games. That they act when they come into the ring, that they actually are, wrestling their ass off. So now they're trying to recruit Adam Page to the Dark Order, which will be interesting. I mean, I'm fine with that storyline because it kind of gives the Dark Order something else to do, especially after Brody Lee disappearing after losing the TNT championship to Cody. So I'm fine with this turning into a storyline. I'm not quite sure where it would go, because I don't think they really need Adam Page to join them, because they have a lot of members that they don't really do too much with. Granted, a lot of them are on AEW Dark, but they have members on there that they really don't pay too much attention to. And Top Flight went against the Hybrid 2 here as well, which was an okay match, I have to say. It wasn't as good as the match versus the Young Bucks, of course, but it was still a good showing for Top Flight. We also had SCU versus Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. This was good. The Inner Circle won this match, which I'm fine with. The Inner Circle definitely need to get some wins and show more dominance, especially since now that they have MJF in the picture as well. They definitely need a new feud to concentrate on, besides, going after the Elite. So next week, this Wednesday, we're gonna have Chris Jericho versus Frankie Kazarian, which I'm surprised they haven't fought each other before, apparently, but they've been in wrestling for a very long time. And then we had the contract signing with Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, and it was this was pretty funny, I have to say, because you had Jon Moxley, with the over-the-top introduction of Kenny Omega, the Cleaner. And I feel like it's different every single time Kenny Omega appears. This time, Justin Roberts was talking about how he's a Hall of Famer, and how the people, I think it was like they had no choice but to pick Kenny Omega or something like that. And so that was pretty funny. But you see, they had Kenny Omega was standing in the tunnel, and you see his silhouette, and then you see Jon Moxley walk up behind him, and then they start attacking. Jon Moxley attacked Kenny Omega, brought him into the ring, did the paradigm shift, of course, and then he cut a pretty good promo. Jon Moxley and his promos now is like 10 times better than what Dean Ambrose was doing in WWE. I have to say that. So I'm excited for this match, which I feel like is so weird that we're getting this during a Dynamite versus a pay-per-view. Because the difference with AEW and WWE, we're only paying $10 for a pay-per-view, whereas though AEW, we're shelling out $40 or $50 for a pay-per-view. So I felt as though this could have been saved for a pay-per-view fight. But they wanted to do it on this special AEW Dynamite, I guess, to kind of bring in more ratings, you know, do better in the demographics and stuff like that. I'm fine with, if you want to give it to me for free, I'll take it. We also had Anna Jay versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World Championship. We finally get a women's match on AEW Dynamite that does not involve the NWA Championship. It's just like they still don't give the women. It's like they don't really care too much about it. Shida defeated Anna Jay. Props to Anna Jay though. I think it came out that this was her 7th match, or the first time that they fought, it was her 7th match or something like that. Basically, she hasn't been in the ring that long. And the fact that, I mean, she looks really good. She's good in the ring. She's gotten better in the ring, of course. But the fact that she hasn't been wrestling that long, that's just crazy. And then we had Pac and Rey Fenix versus the Butcher and the Blade. And I could have sworn the way that they tweeted it out on AEW, I believe it was last week, because they said Pac versus Rey Fenix. I remember looking at Twitter, and it said Pac versus Rey Fenix instead of Pac and Rey Fenix, because it definitely wasn't Butcher and the Blade in the picture. It was only Pac and Rey Fenix. So, whatever. But we have the Death Triangle back together again, which means that the Lucha Bros are no longer working with Eddie Kingston. I'm all for Death Triangle. I am so hyped for the Death Triangle, and I can't wait to see what they do in the upcoming weeks. The thing is, though, we're getting a lot of the factions again, and I'm hoping that now we're going to get the Death Triangle versus Eddie Kingston and his group. I don't know, I guess Taz and his group are going after Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes. I don't know who the Inner Circle is going to target next. It's just a lot of factions that's going on here. And so, it looks like, though, the Death Triangle, like I said, is going against Kingston and his group. So, this is going to be a fun matchup as well. So going into NXT, we're slowly getting set up for the NXT TakeOver, which is coming this Thursday. And I was going to give my predictions for NXT TakeOver, but after looking at the card, it's kind of hard to really give a prediction because I feel like we're still missing a match because there's only 4 matches that have been announced so far. So we're still missing a match. And then we're still missing a person for Shotzi Blackheart's team as well. And we still don't know who will have the advantage over it. So I figured I'm just going to go live on Thursday at 9 o'clock. It won't be a long episode at all. It'll be mainly a recap of AEW Dynamite and NXT with predictions. I apologize if you hear things in the background. Kids, I tell you. So, going into NXT, we had Amber Moon and Candice LeRae, and I figured it was known that we would have, and I think I said this before, the War Games with Candice LeRae, with Raquel and Dakota, but I got the 4th person wrong. And I said that Amber Moon and Shotzi Blackheart and Rhea Ripley, and I forgot who I named as the 4th person for Shotzi Blackheart team. I figured, it was going to be on opposite ends. Now, I got the 4th person completely wrong for Candice LeRae. Oh, I said Toni Storm would be on Shotzi Blackheart's side. But we had the matchup between Candice LeRae and Amber Moon, and we had Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez who came down to, interfere in the match a little bit. And then we had Toni Storm who came down to help out Amber Moon. And then Toni Storm turned on Amber Moon, and she is now a heel, and she has joined Team Candice LeRae, which I'm actually down for. I don't mind seeing Toni Storm turning heel, because for whatever reason with NXT, whenever a woman turns heel in NXT, they become like 20 times hotter, and their theme is like the best you ever heard, and they're just all of a sudden badass. It's not even a heel, they just turn like complete badass. So I'm totally down for a heel Toni Storm. I can't wait to see what happens with that. And after that, we get the Undisputed Era who comes out, cuts a promo about the Kings of NXT. We get Kyle O'Reilly to who wants to go against Pete Dunn. I'm sorry, who wants to go against Pete Dunn for a chance to get the advantage for the War Games. After that, we had Timothy Thatcher versus Kashida. Of course, this was nothing except for about the setup for Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher, which I don't know if it's going to be just NXT Live or we're turning this into a match at War Games. They don't really have matches on the pre-show, so I'm going to guess this is just going to be a match for NXT Live. But Kashida versus Thatcher it's a good match. I mean, the technical moves and submissions that they were putting on each other was definitely like A+. But Tommaso, I'm happy to see Tommaso, getting back to his Psycho Killer self. So I'm ready to see them two go against each other. After that, we had the Kevin Owens show, which featured Leon Ruff, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Leon Ruff. Like, I'm happy that they're giving someone a chance, but I don't know. He kind of comes off as a bit of a goofball to me. Like, very naive. Like, he hasn't watched wrestling and ever. And the confusing thing is that they showed, like, a while ago, they showed a highlight package, and in the highlight package, he's like a complete different person outside of what they're doing with him as the North American champion. And I didn't know he was on 205 Live. And so I'm like, well, where's this guy? Why are we getting this, very naive, like, naive person and with the belt dropping off of him? I don't get it. But, I'm one of those people who just wait and see. Maybe they're doing this whole underdog thing that, we don't think he can do it, but he can actually do it. But Kevin Owens was pretty funny in this. He told Leon Ruff, you don't mention names or else that person will come out. Johnny Gargano comes out. He starts talking crap about Leon Ruff. Told him you won't do anything. You wouldn't be nothing unless if it wasn't for Damian Priest. And it was a little funny part. KO had gave Johnny Gargano a chair. Johnny threw the chair out, and then you see Kevin Owens get another chair, and Johnny Gargano was like, "Who's that chair for?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just a hunch." And you see Johnny Gargano mention Damian Priest's name, and that's when he's like, "Look, I told you. Whenever you mention a name, that person comes out." Kevin Owens counted down for when Damian Priest was supposed to come out. He didn't come out. He was maybe 5 seconds after Kevin Owens had counted down. And so then Damian Priest comes out. And so this is all setting up a triple threat match between the three of them. It's promising. I don't know what Leon Ruff is going to bring to this match. I'm hoping that they just let him, do his thing and not be this naive person. It slightly reminds me of Apollo Crews. The I'm happy to be here type of situation. So then we got the setup for Cameron Grimes versus Dexter Lumis, and this is leading to the strap match at NXT Takeover War Games. And so I don't know. I like Dexter Lumis. I'm not 100% on Cameron Grimes. He was awesome though in that Horror House match. But I don't know. I just don't know about him as a person. Then we get the announcement that Toni Storm has joined Candice LeRae's team. And so Candice LeRae's team is complete with Candice LeRae, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, and Toni Storm. And so then we had Rhea Ripley. She came out to do a promo. She came out to do a promo, and I think the promo was about where is she gonna go, because she was crying and things like that, and she was hugging Io Shirai. So people felt as though she was gonna get called up to Raw or SmackDown, which I hope didn't happen. I know that she is very dominant in NXT, and it's pretty much where else is she gonna go? But it has been shown time and time and time and time again that whenever an NXT wrestler goes to Raw or SmackDown, they are not they're not handled properly. Case in point, an article that I read, where is Aleister Black and Andrade? The word is that they're no longer getting the push that they were supposed to get because Paul Heyman is no longer on Raw because he's over on SmackDown. And because of that, Aleister Black and Andrade is not going to get the push that they deserve. Which is weird because one of them is engaged to Charlotte. But I guess, they really don't matter. Especially the fact that she's not there to do anything about it. But yeah. And then we have people losing names. Now we got Riddle. And I knew like I had said before, I knew Riddle was going to turn into what he's turning into now, the person who acts like he's straight up like he reminds me of Keanu Reeves back in Bill and Ted. Um, Bill and Ted Goes on an Adventure, I think it's called. And definitely the surfer stoner dude that talks like, I mean, he is so many movies from the 90s that he reminds me of. And of course, people are going to take him as a joke instead of what he was in the ring. Now, I know there's people who don't like him because of the shit that he's done. But back in NXT, he was like he had all the popularity. And you can say the same thing about a lot of people who are from NXT who are on and I say main roster, and I know people in NXT don't like to say they're being called up, but you're being called up. Maybe you probably it should be called down, because when you go to Raw or SmackDown, it's not always a step up. Maybe a step up to less time on TV or have your last name dropped or something like that. So I kind of knew that I was hoping that Rhea Ripley, to get back on point, I was hoping that Rhea Ripley wasn't going to get called up to Raw or SmackDown. Yeah, she did a lot and dominated a lot, but I feel as though there's she can still do other stuff. You know, she doesn't have to exactly be in the main roster picture, but she can definitely face other people and kind of build up the women's roster, even though it doesn't need to be built up. And then we had the main event of the ladder match, Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly. I love Kyle O'Reilly, first of all. This was a very good match, I have to say. Um, NXT and their ladder matches is always, top quality. We had Pete Dunne, of course, defeating Kyle O'Reilly. So now the Kings of NXT is going to get the advantage in the War Games matchup. So going into SmackDown, I kind of missed some of SmackDown, so I didn't get a chance to catch everything. Um, I didn't catch all of the Tribal Chief um, promo of him talking to J Uso. I had missed the Street Profits versus Ziggler and Rude, but I tuned in to Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan. Um, and Sami Zayn winning by countout, which is crazy. Um, it was a good match. Sami Zayn can definitely throw down the ring, and Daniel Bryan is just on a whole different level. I wish that we could get Daniel Bryan going against Jey Uso to kind of tie up the loose end with that, and create a feud with that for what he did. For what he did when Jey Uso had joined the Tribal Chief, of course. But I'm fine with this. If we're going to get into Daniel Bryan going after the Intercontinental Championship, I'm definitely down with that. Um, we also had Bianca Belaire versus Natalya. Um, and Bianca Belaire is really good. But it's just, I don't know. This is nothing but them teasing Bianca Belaire versus Bayley, and This was just nothing except for a reason for Bianca Belair and Bayley to get involved. So, and then we had Natalya there. I don't know what they're doing with Natalya, if Natalya is just there to put over the talent, or if they're going to actually do something with her, either put her in the title picture as far as the tag team champions, because Nia Jax and Shayna Basler are just wearing the titles just for decoration at this point. They're going after Lana, which has nothing to do with the tag team championship. And then I remembered back when there was the promise of the belts being defended between NXT and SmackDown. And we have yet to see the tag team champions on SmackDown to go against another female tag team. It's just very, it just makes no sense. And then we had King Corbin versus Murphy, which I didn't watch. I figured it wouldn't be a good match, and I don't know what they're doing as far as Murphy and actually no, I did watch this match. Yeah, I did watch this match. Cuz I don't know why I thought this I don't know what I thought I was watching. I did watch this match because the Mysterio family was helping out Murphy, and I don't know who was the heel and who was the face. Cuz Baron Corbin was very upset that Murphy won because the Mysterios were interfering in the match. So I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. Like, we're very lost now that Seth Rollins is gone. It feels like there's a loose end to this story that they don't know what they need to do about it. Um, and then we had Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso, this was a good match, and it ended. I say it ended on a good note too. We had Owens, who kind of pretty much kind of got pushed to the edge. Started attacking Jey Uso with a chair. Started calling out Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman standing there. And I am definitely down for a feud between Kevin Owens and the Tribal Chief. Can you imagine those promos between the Tribal Chief and Kevin Owens? Like, I don't know. It baffles me. It baffles me how we had the promos of the suckering succotash and everything, and now we're on, like, we can't wait for next week for a promo from Roman Reigns. It's just crazy at what of the difference of creative can do for a person. The control of a gimmick can do for a person. Of course, Paul Heyman has something to do with it. We all know that. But the fact that it's just like night and day of the Roman Reigns of 2019 and the Roman Reigns of 2020. It's crazy. It really is. Heck, the Roman Reigns of 5 years ago to now. Night and day. So, getting into Raw this past week, I kind of missed a little bit of the beginning. I knew that we had a moment of bliss, so I missed a little bit of the beginning. But I saw that Randy Orton said that he knew the weakness of Bray Wyatt, so he burnt down the Bray Wyatt cabin, and he was trying to figure out the weakness of the Fiend, and it looks like it is Alexa Bliss. And so Alexa Bliss, she said something that kind of like that I caught, and she told him who is manipulating who. And that's when the lights started to go down, and Randy Orton says, "You see what I mean?" And then the lights the lights went down some more, and she says, "You see what I mean?" And so it's very interesting if we're, because I'm still wondering where this is going as far as Alexa Bliss and the Fiend. As far as like, is she a follower? If she's like on the same level as him? But now we're getting like hints that she may be the one pulling the strings for the Fiend, realizing the power that she has in herself and is able to control the Fiend. And so the lights went down, and when the lights came back on, Randy Orton was holding Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss wasn't like fighting or anything like that. She was just chilling. And so you see the Fiend hold his arms out for Alexa Bliss, and Randy Orton handed her over before he got out the ring, and he had a smile on his face. So it's just very interesting now that the Fiend, who was looked at as unstoppable, and there's nothing that can like bother him, to now that he has somewhat of a weakness, not only a weakness, but possibly someone who can manipulate him. I think that's a very interesting take. And then we had, after that, Elias versus Jeff Hardy for the Symphony of Destruction, which I believe it was, I forgot who it was. Someone said this was the first time we seen it, and I mean, he was like, this isn't the first time we've seen it. Every time Elias has a feud with someone, I could have sworn it ends with this whole symphony of destruction. Like, I think this is like the second or third one that we're getting right now of this symphony. Why can't I say the word? And so um I don't know. It was kind of goofy. There was this part where Elias electrocuted himself, but he had a piece of a guitar in his hand, and I didn't know that wood can, that you can get electrocuted if you stick a piece of wood in a speaker. So and then I immediately started thinking about back when Goldust got electrocuted, and he started to have that bit of like Tourette's type of stutter, and I was hoping that that's not where they're gonna go with Elias. We saw a cameo by R-Truth. He was hiding inside of a piano, and there were some people who gave chase. Uh, Drew Gulak was running out, and he got slammed by a, a back body drop by Jeff Hardy. And I forgot who Elias had punched. But then we went for. Then at the end, um, Jeff Hardy got on the top turnbuckle and did a swanton bomb. And it was pretty scary because he hit Elias, who was laying on the table, but you see Jeff Hardy's head hits the steel steps with a thud. And I'm sitting here wondering, why didn't he move the steps? Like, I don't know where he thought his head was going to go. And it was very frightening, first of all, because we already had a Hardy who head went splat and started bleeding. So I was just very concerned for him. But I'm glad that he was okay. So after that, we had Ricochet versus Slapjack, which was an okay match. The promo from Mustafa Ali that he had cut in the back with Retribution was pretty good. But I was very, I was very surprised that Slapjack had won the match. Dana Brooke comes out of nowhere and slaps Mustafa Ali in the face because of what Reckoning had did to her. But I was fine with Slapjack getting the win, which I know that they explained the names and the looks, but the fact that these are all promising, good NXT wrestlers who, especially Dominic Dijakovic. I mean, the feud between him and Keith Lee was like top notch in NXT, and now he is in a mask known as T-Bar. I don't know. After that, we had Miz TV with the Miz trying to get Sheamus to turn on Drew McIntyre. They attacked him, and I noticed that Drew McIntyre didn't come out. So I don't know if we're setting up a feud between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre down the road, which I am down with. I think that would be a pretty good feud, especially if it's for the title. But of course, we have the Miz in the way, and we have the match that's coming for TLC, which I'll talk about in a little bit. After that, we get Asuka and Lana versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. I don't know why we keep getting this. I don't know why we have 3 champions tied up in a feud that has nothing to do with a championship. We had, first of all, it wasn't a good match at all. I love Asuka. I love Shayna Baszler, and the fact that they're tied up in this feud is kind of frustrating. We had Lana. I don't know who missed the spot. I don't know if it was Lana who missed the spot or if Nia Jax missed the spot. But we saw a spot. Lana clearly pulls down the ropes 5 seconds before Nia Jax, in front of Nia Jax's face, and you see Nia Jax run towards the rope because somebody missed a spot, and I guess there's nothing for you to do but to obviously show that they missed the spot. But I don't know if we're setting up for, Lana to become a tag team championship, but it's just going to be frustrating. It's just going to be frustrating. And I get what they want to do at Lana. I would feel a lot better if Lana actually, not stood on the steps and stood there like she was on timeout before acting like she did a lot of work in order to become Soul Survivor. Now, she did wrestle in this match, and then she even got the pin, and she pinned Shayna Baszler to win this match, which is, I like Shayna Baszler. I feel as though Shayna Baszler could be, as dominant as Ronda Rousey was. Especially with everyone keeps setting up this 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen. Which isn't happening because 2 of the other 4 horsewomen isn't even ready to be in the ring. But at least, I felt as though at least we had Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. But now what they're doing with Shayna Baszler barely put in 100% of what she can do in the matches. But it looks like we're setting up something with Lana and Asuka. Lana getting these wins now, and she's celebrating like she just put out a 5-star match. Nothing against her as a person. I know she's been bullied and stuff like that, but your gimmick isn't good, sweetie. Especially the whole standing on steps, you become Soul Survivor, and then you immediately get a title shot for it. I don't get that. Then we had Cedric Alexander versus Xavier Woods. That's when they made the announcement that Xavier Woods is going to be a host for G4. The Hurt Business comes out. Cedric Alexander cut a pretty good promo against Xavier Woods. He basically was saying, "I'm not Shelton Benjamin," as if he's better than Shelton Benjamin. We had a pretty good match between them two. We had Cedric Alexander who gets the win, and then something very weird happens. He immediately gets out of the ring and leaves Shelton Benjamin and MVP in the ring as he walks off. But the way he was walking off, he never looked back. So I don't know if he didn't realize that he was there, or he was so pumped in his win that he immediately gets out of the ring to start celebrating. I don't know. But then we get the triple threat match: Keith Lee versus Riddle versus AJ Styles. This was a good match, and anything with AJ Styles in it is going to be a good match. Um, AJ Styles wins this match, of course, and so now for the matchup at TLC, we're going to get AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre, which is going to be a pretty good match, I have to say. I don't know, like, that's going to be a hard match to give a prediction for because Drew McIntyre just got the title back, but it's AJ Styles, and I know how much fun it would be for AJ to get the title, and then he becomes the face that runs the place. I don't know what his saying is for Raw, but I'm just going to say that he's going to be the face that runs the place in Raw, and how arrogant he's going to be with that championship. It's going to be fun. After that, we get Dana Brooke versus Reckoning, and about 5 seconds into the match, we had about to say her name. Reckoning was in the corner, and Dana Brooke was, giving her, I think it was a forearm to the face, and immediately the mask gets knocked off. And I go, gasp! Reckoning is actually Mia Yim. Oh my gosh, I didn't know. But it looked like the bottom part of her mask came off, and then the rest, the rest of it eventually falls off. But this was Mia Yim's first match on Raw since she had appeared in Retribution. It wasn't really that good of a match, and Dana Brooke gets the win clean. And afterwards, Mustafa Ali comes into the ring and starts yelling at her and saying that we don't accept failure and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, dude, isn't you and your squad like 1-5 or something? Like, you guys are looking like the NFC East here. Okay, you can't sit there and yell at me again saying, losing doesn't help and all this and that. If you out here losing as well. But whatever. I try to be patient with this whole Retribution thing, but I don't know how much more patient I can be before I can just check out. I don't know why I haven't checked out yet. Maybe it's because I was gonna say dumb enough, but I'm just like, I still have some type of hope that things will turn around for Retribution, because I like Mia Yim, I like Dominic Dijakovic, I like Mustafa Ali. I think Mustafa Ali is like 20 times, can have like 20 times more potential of him as a heel. But of course, he didn't want to be a heel because of the stereotypes. And I don't know. I don't know about this. But anyway, we get to the main event. We got The Miz and Morrison versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. It was a lot going on in this match. We had AJ Styles, who was on commentary with his they call him Amos. I could have sworn his name was Jordan, but they kept calling him Amos. We had the whole Miz threatening to cash in. We had Miz and Morrison and AJ Styles. No, we had Miz and Morrison trying to get Sheamus to turn on Drew McIntyre. We had AJ Styles telling the Miz that he should cash in, so it could be AJ Styles versus the Miz, because for some reason AJ Styles saying it's easier to beat the Miz than Drew McIntyre, which is kind of true. It was just a lot going on. I mean, this was a good match, but it was just a lot going on. And then we had, Sheamus wanting to, attack AJ Styles, but the big guy was in the way. And even he was weird because, I don't know, he just kind of stands there. And, oh, I forgot to talk about it. It was a segment with, I think it was Matt Riddle. I think it was Matt Riddle. Or no, it was Miz and Morrison. And AJ Styles with Jordan. And they brought him a pie, a peach pie, because he's from Georgia. And AJ Styles then started talking about how The Miz should cash in on Drew McIntyre so that could be The Miz versus AJ Styles. And after that segment, the fucking big guy sat there and says, "That's a cupcake." He said, like, "That's not pie. That's a cupcake." And I'm like, what? They're gonna make you big and dumb as well? Like, he didn't sit there and smile or anything like that. He didn't say it like, you know, look, that's so big, it should be a cupcake or something like that. Like, even if he was saying it like, wow, that's so big, that should be a cupcake. The way he said it, it sounded like he was like so serious that was actually a cupcake. And so, I don't know. I don't put it past them that they're gonna make him like dumb, like clueless about life. But yeah, he comes off very awkward. Like he is so tall that like he seems like the dad that's hanging out with the toddlers or something like that. He doesn't even do anything. He doesn't punch. He doesn't like push anybody. Like everybody is afraid because of how tall he is, but he hasn't done anything. That's the part that I'm confused about. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't slapped someone. He hasn't punched someone. He hasn't even grabbed a leg when someone goes up against the ropes. So I don't know. Like I get you're afraid because how tall you are. Like, but the thing about it is, I mean, the thing about it is that people are not afraid to like get into a triple threat match or a fatal four way or a gauntlet match, but yet you're afraid of a 7-foot dude. You're not afraid of going against three people, but you're afraid of one guy. I don't get who he never even saw if he's strong or anything. I don't get that. So we end this match with how do we end this match? I forgot how this match ended with this tag team match. Um but after the match, Drew McIntyre was knocked out. The Miz, uh, John Morrison, AJ Styles all did their finishers on Drew McIntyre so that the Miz can cash in. AJ Styles took the briefcase and tried to cash it in for the Miz, which I was a little confused about because the referee was looking like he was going to accept the briefcase. And then the Miz took it back and he said, I'm not you're not cashing it in for me. I cash it in when I want to cash in. And then Drew McIntyre pops up because taking 3 actual finishers is nothing to him. And so the Miz leaves out and AJ Styles, of course it was a stare down between AJ Styles and the Drew McIntyre, and that was that. So was Raw very exciting? No. Was SmackDown exciting? It was more exciting than Raw. But the biggest thing is this build up for NXT Takeover and for this Winter is Coming AEW Dynamite episode that is coming on Wednesday. So that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Let me give a few shout outs to Julian and Rob Bass from the Wrestling Court Podcast on TurtedMinds.com, Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show, Chris from We Talk Next Podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show, Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast, Devin and Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling, and my boys over at Powerbomb Jitsu. So coming up, NXT, we have Shasi Blackheart versus Raquel Gonzalez. This is for the advantage for the women's War Games match at NXT TakeOver. And we should also be getting who the fourth member of the of Shotzi Blackheart team is going to be. Whether this is someone, maybe this is a return or something like that. Who knows? The fact that they're leaving this for the go home show, it must be either somebody big, I have to say. Also on AEW side, we have Chris Jericho versus Frankie Kazarian. Like I said, we have Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship, which is going to be a good match, of course. AEW Dynamite this week is being called Winter is Coming, which I think is cool. If you didn't get a chance to check out their Twitter page, and check out their Twitter profile, I should say, they posted a lot of cool photos of their wrestlers with the Winter is Coming promotion. So I thought that was cool. But like I said, it's not enough for me to really get predictions really for NXT, especially because I know that there's another match being set up. We have Finn Balor, who's back, and his championship isn't being defended. Io Shirai's championship isn't being defended. The tag team champions are in the War Games. But there's a match that's missing, because normally the TakeOver matches are 5 matches, and we only got 4. So I feel like we're getting a match somewhere, whether it's the women's NXT championship or the men's NXT championship, or if it's just going to be another, maybe it's Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher, who knows. But coming up, I'm going to stream live on Thursday with my predictions, 9 p.m. Eastern. It won't be that long of a broadcast, so it'll just be me recapping those 2 shows and giving my predictions. What's coming up is I decided to do a little end of the year awards. I don't have a name for it yet, but I do have unique categories, and I will be turning to you guys to pick out the winners. For example, match of the year, biggest, I don't know what I called it, but basically someone who got a new gimmick, a new turnaround, best faction or union, biggest opportunity that was missed, who should win a major title in 2021, who should go to the Hall of Fame, the next Hall of Fame, because they're saying 2020 Hall of Fame is going to be 2021's Hall of Fame, things like that. And I'm also going to do a giveaway attached with this as well. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at Jaydee Talks, Jayde Talks. Follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and be on the lookout for details for the giveaway. I think I'm definitely doing 1 giveaway. I might do 2 because we are, the end of 2020. It's Christmas season. I'm in a festive mood. I'm in a giving mood. And so be on the lookout for that. And also be on the lookout for the end of the year awards and how you can check out who's nominated and to be able to pick out the winners as well. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your review of the podcast, what you like, what you don't like. And be sure to check me out this Thursday at 9 p.m. for my predictions. And until next time, guys, peace.